If you're ready to break free from the emotional and financial patterns that have held you back, this episode is for you. Angela Turpin shares powerful insights into healing money-related traumas and offers practical steps you can take today to create a healthier relationship with your finances. You'll discover how decluttering can clear both your physical and emotional space, empowering you to invest in yourself and your future. Welcome to Wealthy After 40, where I help you turn retirement uncertainty into a clear, actionable plan. If you're thinking about retirement but feel unsure whether it's even possible, I understand. The gap between where you are now and where you want to be can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to. Hi, I'm Daylene Higgins, founder of Elevate Finances and your personal financial coach. Having retired at the age of 50 and have enjoyed over 2 years of retirement bliss, I'm here to help you create your retirement dream and make it a reality. No more wondering, no more guessing, just taking action and building a future for yourself. Join me each week as I guide you through essential topics such as budgeting, cash flow, lifestyle planning, debt and savings, insurance, Medicare, and Social Security. Together, we'll build a strategy to help you achieve the retirement you've always desired. It's time to shift from uncertain to unstoppable and make your retirement dreams a reality. I'm excited for today's guest. She has been a connection of mine for almost 2 years now. She has been a wonderful connection, somebody I'm so glad I found, and just love having her in my space as often as we can. We don't live very close, but we do connect often. So her name is Angela Turpin, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell us what she does.
Thank you, Daylene. So I'm super excited to be here. I'm Angela. I'm a trauma healer. I help women heal trauma and embody their worthiness and step into their sovereignty after trauma. I've been coaching women for roughly 4 years to heal their trauma, but I've been healing my own trauma for more than 10 years now.
It's amazing. I love the work you do. And I love the space you're in. And we've connected before, we've been in each other's spaces, but just recently she invited me to her money healing series. She loves to call me the money mastery coach. And so that is definitely what I do on the practical side. So she did a whole series about healing with money. So what inspired you to focus on money healing and, helping individuals with it in their lives?
Sure. So my clients were actually coming to me, and they were former clients that I had worked with. And then some of the clients that had followed me for the last four or 5 years. And they were telling me, I want to invest with you, but I don't have the money. I want to invest with you. I want to be able to do these things, but I don't have the money. And I know what it's like to be in that space. I want to invest with you, but I don't have the money. And I was like, okay, well, and at first I was like, well, there's nothing I can do for you. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you want me to do? And so then I was like, but I've been healing my own relationship with money at that point for roughly 2 years. And I was like, well, I know what it's like to be in that space. And I know what it's like to not realize that the reason why we are struggling with money is actually because we don't have a good relationship with money. We have trauma around money. We have, trauma in the experiences, like having money held over our head or not having enough or watching our parents deal with money. And I was like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. And I tried to avoid it for a long time because I didn't feel like I could tell people how to heal their relationship with money. And I was like, I'm just going to do this. And it's going to be a pay what you can series so that they can invest whatever amount of money they feel safe and comfortable with investing, and it will change their lives. And that will be that. And that's just exactly what I did. And so it went so well. I don't want to say I was surprised, but I wasn't expecting the results that they got out of it. Like it was huge. I've had women still come to me and tell me, that money healing series, it changed my life. It's opened me up to so many other things. I've had a woman that she bought a house from it because she decided to actually face her money. And I was just like, this is incredible. This is way better than I thought it was going to be like. So that's what inspired me to do it, is because they were telling me they couldn't afford to invest. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do. And then I was like, but I do know what to do. And so I gave it back in that sense so that they could invest. And then of course I turned it around and turned it into a course that, is on autopilot that people can invest in now. So it served both of us in the long run.
Yeah, I love that. I know when we connected, you were like, "Oh, had I not started healing my money, I would have been scared to connect with you." And it was literally just a coffee chat for us to connect and get to know each other as entrepreneurs. And so I know you've been on your own journey of healing money and working with money. And, those are very, very strong feelings. Every client, and I approach it from a practical side and then head into the mindset. And there's a lot of different beliefs people are carrying with them for lots of different reasons. Even outside of having trauma, it just is other things, other events, exposures to different things. So that's huge. And I love that. So, what are some common misconceptions or misunderstandings around the process of healing money?
So a lot of people automatically assume that we're going to go into doing manifestation and law of attraction. And as much as I love law of attraction and manifestation, I'm not going to say it doesn't work, because it absolutely does, but it doesn't work from a standpoint if you're not coming into acceptance of where you're at. If you're struggling with trauma, so they automatically, it's like, okay, we're going to manifest a bunch of money and then we're not going to sustain it later. That's not what we're going to do. People also think that we're going to like dive into deep rooted trauma, like, like healing trauma specifically, and that's not necessarily true. We really look at your relationship with money and how you actually deal with the money, and then that tells us where like your trauma with money is coming from. So we don't have to dive too deep into it. But also, a lot of people believe if I come into this space with healing my money trauma or my relationship with money, I'm going to be judged for the things that I did or did not do with my money. And to me, that does not happen for me. I've done crazy things. I've spent money I didn't have. I've gone into debt. I've had a negative bank account. There's not anything to me that would actually shock me and cause me to judge other people. And so I feel like that's where a lot of it comes from. And so we tend to not deal with our money because of that judgment and the shame that potentially brings.
Yeah, exactly. I know a lot of people just don't want to even look at their bank account. And honestly, that's the first step. But yet overcoming that fear is huge. And it can be from a lot of judgment and things they're feeling outside of, is peer pressure. It's what it boils down to. It's always peer pressure. My current client, she's like, I connected with you because you didn't make me feel like I needed to have a lot of money to be able to work with you. And I'm like, it's not about the money, it's about what you do with it. So it's huge.
Right.
So,
Right.
all right. How do you help individuals approach their own money wounds? What are some ways somebody can start exploring that avenue?
Sure. So the first thing, and I do this in all my programs, not just specifically with money, is that we have to feel safe enough to even look at our money. So if we do not feel safe enough to start looking at our money, start dealing with our money, start looking at our beliefs, start becoming into self-awareness around our money, none of it's going to matter. Because even if you were to take like the law of attraction approach, if you don't feel safe receiving that money, you're not going to receive that money. It just doesn't matter. So it all comes down to whether or not we feel safe dealing with these things. So the first thing we do is we start to talk about feeling safe, and we start to work on resetting and rewiring our nervous system so that we are, again, feeling safe with receiving the money. Because if we're not in a safe place, we don't receive, but also we then lose the money. And so now we're in a space where we're going through these huge cycles of feast and famine, and we can't, I mean, that's not good for anybody. It's also not good for our bodies, let alone any of our work that we're doing. So that is always the first thing that we do. We don't even go and look at the money until, even in the program, it's still until like the third day, we didn't even look at the money at all. And so I feel like that's super important. And I feel like that's also one of the things that's missed the most within any law of attraction, manifestation, other programs that I've seen, like it's completely missed.
Yeah, and I know you and I share a lot of the same idea about it's not just mindset. So
Right.
that safe space would be where you believe you need to resolve before moving on. Mine's the same way. Like, let's approach your practical side of money. Let's just look at the numbers and then let's explore what's happening inside. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you in being able to being capable. And on my side, that's clarity. We've got to know what's going on. And definitely yours is feeling safe to do so, right? It's so
Yeah.
huge. It's so huge. So I know there were some fun things because I was a part of that group, having been a presenter. I know there were some fun things going on. And I say fun in the sense that you were having them like declutter. So can you talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that and just share how like that action can lead to some healing, lead to some, money recognition?
Sure. So decluttering is something that is part of like the law of attraction world and manifestation. But I had seen it as, when my space is clean, when I'm organized, when certain things are in my house that are clean, I actually feel better. And so when I'm feeling better, what do? You call in more money. You just feel better in general. So that just helps all together to make you feel good. You stop having anxiety or overthinking. And like even now, my desk is kind of a mess. And I was like, okay, this is kind of like, this has got to get cleaned up before I go on to this podcast so that I feel good. And we don't think that our physical spaces have anything to do with having money or calling in more money. But the thing is that the more space that you have in your physical world, the more that you're able to actually call in because you feel organized. You feel like you can do these things, and that feels so much better. And so what happens is what you'll notice is that when you're decluttering, you're also healing. You're healing these spaces within yourself. And we think that when we're going to declutter, we're going to clean out the whole house at once. And it's like, no, we're not. We're not doing that. That's so overwhelming. You're going to take a space that you've been thinking about cleaning for months and months and months that you haven't cleaned, and you're going to attack that space. And then that's going to be it. And then the next day, you're going to move on and move on and move on. And it's just so beautiful to see what happens and to see what kind of attachment we have to things that mean nothing. Like how many of us, when I started doing this, okay, this is going to sound so crazy. I had the first iPad charger, the really big, wide tooth charger. And I was like, why am I still holding on to this? I don't even have this tablet, this iPad anymore. And so you start to realize, like, why did I hold on to this? And hoarding tendencies are actually related to trauma. They're trauma responses. And so you start to realize, I don't need these things. I haven't worn that shirt in like 10 years. Why is it still in here? And so you start to like really let things go. And it's like it just frees so much up in your body, in your mind, in your space. And now you have so much more to receive what you truly desire. And I feel like that alone helps people heal. And then you get to call in more stuff, and you get to have a clean space that doesn't stress you out. So I feel like it's like this beautiful thing that you get to do that has nothing to do with money, but actually does.
That's amazing. Yeah, that is amazing. So I will definitely include the link to that course for individuals who are interested in specifically with the money healing, and go and can grab that. Just hitting pause in the episode to let you know you're not alone if you are feeling lost in the maze of retirement planning. I've been there too. I felt the stress, the confusion, and the uncertainty, but I found a way and I'm here to share it with you following the steps of my dream method. With my personalized one-on-one coaching, I'll help you define your finances, realize your retirement vision, evaluate any gaps, and then help you take action to master your retirement planning and finances. Together, we'll tackle budgeting, savings, and even debt, all while crafting a retirement lifestyle that's not only financially sound, but also deeply fulfilling. It's time to take control of your financial future and design the retirement you've always dreamed of. The best part, you can get started with a free call. No pressure, just a conversation to see if my program, the Financial Freedom Accelerator, is right for you. Don't let retirement stress hold you back. Book your call and start your journey to a worry-free retirement today. Now back to the episode. So I want to just talk about more about what you do on the regular, what your focus is, how you help women, how you support them. Because I know working with women, a lot of my listeners and my clients have been single or divorced or widowed. So yeah, share with us like what you do as a transformational coach and in that space and your specialties.
Sure. So my main goal is to help women heal past trauma. That's the thing that we do. That's what we go in and focus on. And usually my clients have some type of past sexual trauma. And the reason why that usually comes up for them is because that's my story. That's my history. That's where, all of my trauma kind of started. And so we really specifically deal with that, but it's really any trauma that anybody has experienced, because what happens is that we might think that it's only just this main part that has happened to us, but we find out that it's also the unhealthy childhood conditioning where you're told whether or not you're a bad girl or a good girl, or you need to act like a lady, or you're supposed to be seen and not heard, or if you're told that your emotions and your thoughts don't matter. Like there's all of those other things that come into combination. And so what we essentially do is and I don't want this to sound scary, but it's exactly what we do, is we dismantle that entire belief system. And so you come into a space where you get to create your own belief system and create your own life based on things that are actually true for you, rather than this fear-based programming that you've been living with that has caused overthinking, anxiety, depression, unhealthy relationships, that has caused us to be codependent, that has forced us to make decisions, especially as women, that are out of survival, especially choices in our partners, choices in our careers and stuff like that. So we dismantle all of that and then create a space or a version of you, if you will, where you're like, I'm healed, I'm confident, I love myself, I feel worthy, I'm absolutely free. And now I can live my life like this because I know who I truly am. And that's the basis of everything that we do. I do all of this through resetting and rewiring your nervous system so that we release that fear-based programming. Everything is so focused on safety and feeling safe within yourself and within your body so that you learn to trust yourself. And then we focus on energy, which is essentially emotions. And then we go into the mindset piece. And I don't go into the mindset piece until the very end of it, because I feel like when you focus on feeling safe and learning how to hold space for your emotions, your mindset naturally shifts and it turns into a space of, I'm going to take this action without beating myself up. I'm going to do this without overthinking. I'm going to do this. And if I have a little bit of doubt or fear, that's okay. It's natural. It comes with the process. Whereas when you start to focus on your mindset first, it's like you're constantly in inner conflict, constantly dealing with that overthinking. And it's like, well, because you haven't released that fear-based programming before you've gone into this mindset piece. So I always do safety, energy, and then mindset. And my clients just have seen phenomenal results from doing it that way.
I love that. I love that. And like I shared earlier, I think that's how we align, because I definitely dive into just the numbers, because I've always told people, well, I worked in the law enforcement space, helping them manage their money. They dealt with all of the emotions, all of the trauma related issues. And I would look at them and say, I'm going to go back to the numbers, because they have none, right? I mean, they can evoke an emotion. And so, yeah, that is huge. I love that avenue that you take with your clients. All right. So, what advice would you offer to listeners who may be struggling with their own trauma, but are unsure of where to start in seeking healing and transformation?
Sure. So I actually love this question. This is one of my favorite questions I get asked. And I always tell anybody that is struggling with trauma and is ready to come out of this space is to actually pick up a journal and start writing. And I say that because not all of us want to go to a therapist or go to a coach and be like, okay, I'm dealing with this trauma and I haven't done anything with it. Like, I didn't remember what had happened to me as a child until almost 27 years later. And I thought I was completely fine. And my life would show otherwise. But you don't want to be like, okay, well, I've got this trauma from, my family, and start to air out that dirty laundry. Not everybody is like ready for that step. And so I recommend going to your journal and just writing in it, even for 5 minutes every single day. You don't even have to talk about what happened. You just talk about your day and the emotions that were evoked and what happened and stuff like that. And then eventually what happens is that you get courageous enough to start writing about, this is what happened in my childhood, and I feel like it's starting to affect me. I haven't told anybody. I don't feel safe telling anybody. My partner doesn't know. And so you just kind of get really comfortable with your own story and releasing it that way, that you start to feel like, okay, I think I can be ready to reach out for help now. And I feel like that first important step is so important, because everybody's like, well, just go work with someone. And I'm like, I didn't just go work with someone. I hid that for a really long time. But what did help me was journaling first. And then I felt like I could work with someone. And I journaled for almost 2 years before I went and told someone. So if that's where you're at, that's where I feel like everybody should start, because it is really a safe place to express yourself without any type of judgment. And you get to release all your thoughts. Like, you get to see that there are some things going on that you're like, maybe this is a little bit crazy. And you get to see that, but it helps, and it helps you release all at the same time. So I think that that's the perfect place to start.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know with you sharing and all of the journal, I've started to do it a little bit more, which I do have to quickly share in here, is going through all of my mother's stuff that she had that I had cleaned out of her house, and I needed to go through it to declutter for my house so I can move. And I found her journals, and I'm like, okay. And I flip, and there's like 3 or 4 pages. And I'm like, oh, she's a journaler like me. Like, we start out and then we don't do. So I've definitely become better about it. It's definitely not a habit, but if I am feeling stressed and anything, I do definitely go there. So it's very, very helpful. And I love that piece of advice. All right. So where can listeners find you and connect with you?
Sure. So the best place and the easiest place is just to go to transformwithangela.com. But I'm on Instagram at transformwithangela.com. I'm pretty sure my Facebook is that way. So you can find me and my YouTube is at Transform with Angela. So you can find me anywhere at that handle.
Awesome. Reach out to her if you guys are, number one, needing this money healing series. The link will be down in the show notes. Also, if you're struggling with trauma and not sure where to start, or maybe you know of somebody who could benefit, go look up her website, go visit with her, schedule a call, see what would work best. So thank you for being here today, Angela. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thanks for listening. Each week, my goal is to help you get one step closer to retirement. so you can be excited for that big day instead of stressed and just hoping it will work out. If today's episode got you thinking about your retirement plans and you're wondering if you're on the right track, I'd love to connect. Let's explore how you can confidently design the retirement you've always dreamed of by booking your free retirement vision session today. In this 30-minute call, we'll clarify your cash flow, what's coming in, going out, explore or refine your retirement dreams, and make sure you're not missing any key areas that may impact or delay you in reaching your retirement goal. Book your call using the link in the show notes below. Don't wait to get clarity. Take that first step toward your dream retirement today.